Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. Thanks for attending the call. We're going to describe the new features in Windchill Modeler 9.3. So my name is Patrick Allerton. I'm the product manager for Windchill Modeler. Okay, so let's take a look at the agenda. So three main areas where we've got new features for Windchill Modeler 9.3. Digital thread, diagramming productivity and layout, and THINGWORX design and generation. So let's look at them in more detail. So first of all, this is really an enhancement in Windchill PDM link, but we now have the ability to create OSLC links from Windchill PDM link pointing to Windchill Modeler data. So this is a new capability extending our OSLC features across the different products. We've enhanced some of the Windchill Modeler OSLC service to support this integration. But essentially this is a capability for Windchill users to enable them to link PLM data, such as parts, to system and software models in Windchill Modeler. Requirements as well can also be linked, as you see. So the two different OSLC domains, requirements and architecture, are supported. And here we have a short demo of the Windchill PDM link OSLC client connecting to Windchill Modeler. So first of all, we start out in Windchill Modeler. We're reviewing a requirements diagram, system level requirements, and some linked use cases. So these are the kinds of model items that you're likely to want to link to from Windchill PDM link. And here we have the related functional design, the sequence diagram, showing the different steps in the user process. Here we can see the logical structure that shows the logical entities within the truck system in this case. So all of this data can be linked to from within Windchill. And here we see within the Windchill PDM link UI, there's a traces tab that can be added to the user interface. And we can see some OSLC links already displayed in the table. So if we click the Add button, we're able to go and connect to a remote OSLC server, in this case a modeler, Windchill Modeler server. We choose the resource type and then the link type. Then we can actually browse through Windchill Modeler data. And here we see different models and the different versions of those models. So we're able to access and create links to historical versions and then the current or the latest version. This demo movie is a little old. We now actually have a replacement user interface for this component. So we've got a better enhanced picker for selecting the model items at that point. So we created an OSLC link, in this case to 3 packages, and they're displayed as you can see in the table. This is a consistent user experience for connections to Windchill RVNS as well. The capability also supports suspecting, and we have consistency in the behavior, again, across the different products here. Here we can see a small preview for the remote resource, so we can see some information about the package that's been, a link has been created to. Okay, so that shows the capabilities of the Windchill PDM link OSLC client. The next new feature is what we're sort of loosely calling reverse lookup. It's essentially been able to view and navigate OSLC links that are stored in a different system to the one that you're actually using. So in this scenario, you can see we have Windchill RVNS and Windchill Modeler. And taking one situation, if the OSLC links have been created by the RVNS user, they're stored in RVNS. We need to find a way for the Windchill Modeler user to be able to see those OSLC links and understand the traceability relationships and dependencies, even though the link is in another tool. So we have the equivalent capability in RVNS. So this means in either tool, you're able to see OSLC links regardless of where they're stored. Okay, so best shown really with a demonstration. So we start off in the latest version of RVNS. And we're going to create an OSLC link to Windchill Modeler content, Windchill Modeler data. So we choose the server, and then we navigate through the hierarchy to the correct items that we want to link. In this case, a set of use cases. So I skip through the navigation for simplicity on this movie, but you obviously navigate through the model hierarchy. Here we've created a couple of OSLC links. So they're in RVNS. Now in Modeler, we need a way to be able to see those links. So we can call the function find external OSLC links. And this will go off and contact connected servers and look for OSLC links pointing to the specific item that we chose. So the movie went through a little quick, actually. I'm going to jump through before we launched. So we're still talking. So note that we've called this function on this highlighted use case. So when we're doing a search, it's basically find any OSLC links that point to this selected use case item. So that runs a query on the remote system, and in this case it's found an OSLC link. So we can select it and see preview information. So we know that there's a requirement in RVNS that's been linked to that use case that we're interested in within Modeler. We can see different property information as well. If we want to see more information, we can jump into RVNS to see the full details within a browser. This takes us through to Doc Studio. Okay, so that's the reverse lookup capability. And as I mentioned, the equivalent is possible from RVNS. So OSLC links that are in Modeler, you can visualize and see them from within RVNS by running the same query, essentially. And it's got a consistent name as well. So we've got a consistent user experience between the two tools. The functions behave the same, and they're called pretty much the same thing as well. Okay, so that's the digital thread enhancements. Next, we can look at the diagramming productivity. First of which is quick create functions. So we have pop-up menus that appear when you hover over a symbol. So as the user moves his cursor over symbols on a diagram, this pop-up menu will appear, and if you click it, you can then go and create new items with links, or create a link between two existing items. So this is a much nicer user experience rather than having to use the toolbar all the time back and forth. It requires less movement of the mouse to construct models. And another big benefit of this is that it constrains the types that you can create, as well as the link types that can be created. So it guides the user more effectively and helps to enforce modeling rules of the standard. And this is real benefit for new and infrequent users. And of course, it helps us to create our models and create our diagrams more quickly and with less clicks and using a more intuitive user experience. Okay, here's a short demo of the capability. So this isn't enabled for all diagrams within Modeler. Some it isn't suitable for. Okay, so we see in the pop-up menu, we've clicked it, and then we can drag the link around and drop it on other items. So here we'll create a link from between two classes that already exist. And you can see that we have the valid types listed in the menu. And here we create a simple association between those two classes. We can also create new items altogether. So if we double click in empty space, then this will allow us to add a new node, a new item, and choose the link type. So here we'll add a new class as a composite. So a much nicer way of modeling, and obviously many different types of items can be created, a use case in this example. And this is one of the features that many customers have requested over many years. Okay, the next diagramming enhancement is our auto layout capability. Essentially, this allows you to very quickly arrange the symbols on a diagram using different layout types. We're planning more of these into the future, but for this release we have tree alignment, as you can see in the diagram, either center aligned as a traditional hierarchy or edge aligned, as you can see in the graphic. There's different configuration options that you can choose to help with, to control the spacing between symbols, how things like notes are handled, how unlinked items are handled, and what particular link types you use to base the hierarchy on. So you can choose which relationships will be used for the hierarchy. So this is a much quicker way of organizing a diagram, complex diagrams, bringing them into a standardized layout within 1 or 2 clicks. Okay, so if we look at this example, so we have a kind of deliberately messy diagram, and the intent behind this is obviously you'll be able to create a diagram quite roughly and establish relationships without worrying about the layouts, and then use this function to tidy it all up very quickly. So we've chosen some different options, and how do we handle some items that aren't in the hierarchy. Click on OK, and everything gets arranged into a nice tree hierarchy. And you see things like comments are passed to the side. Items like rationale can be parked to the side of the diagram altogether. Okay, the next feature we have is something quite simple but very useful when you're working with diagrams a lot. Alignment guides. Similar to PowerPoint, when we move items around, guidelines appear using these red dotted lines to show you center lines, top, bottom, left and right border lines. So it helps to very quickly manually arrange a diagram and get the layout just as you wish. It also works when you do resizing of symbols, so you can tidy things up and get everything aligned very nicely. So this is another very helpful productivity feature. Feedback from customers, one of the big pains that they've had with Modeler is complex diagrams and modifying complex diagrams, changing them, moving things around. So all of these features are intended to help with that. And this is a small one, but very helpful and useful. Okay, so if we start off with, again, a rough diagram that you could just sort of create very quickly, and then you can use the alignment guides to tidy things up and place things as you wish. So you see all of the different alignment options appear, the different guides. And within a few seconds, you can tidy up a diagram so it's properly aligned. Before with Modeler, sometimes this was a little bit tricky to get perfectly as you would wish. You can see an example when resizing a symbol as well. We also see the alignment guides when you're creating a new symbol. So if you're about to add one or drop one onto the canvas, you'll see the alignment guides as well. Okay, and another powerful new feature is link auto-routing. So essentially this is an intelligent auto-routing of links, and it can be used when you create new links. It can also be used when you reroute existing links. And there's an option to also automatically reroute links when you move things on a diagram. So again, as I mentioned, a lot of customers have pain when they move things on a diagram and it messes up all of the links. This option enables it to just automatically tidy itself up. This is a huge productivity increase, and it's together with the other features we've just seen, makes modeling with diagrams so much easier, more intuitive, and faster and much better experience. And of course, the benefit of this is that it's easier to create diagrams that are clearer, easier to understand, and communicate the information more effectively. Okay, so here's a demonstration. So we have a diagram with some existing links that we're not totally happy with. So the first thing we can do is show the rerouting functionality. Right-click on the link, choose to reroute. And it tidies itself up using generally the most direct route. In this example, I've used reroutes on the symbol itself, on the block. And this will do all of the links that connect to that block. Here we're adding a new link between two items, and as you can see, it snakes its way around the symbols. You can choose the valid link type. So it ensures that when you create your links on your diagrams that they're all nicely laid out and not overlapping any of the symbols on the diagram. Okay, so if we now look to move a symbol with that other option, if we replace this down in the diagram, the links automatically reroute themselves. So this is a pretty simple diagram, really, just for the benefits of this demo. But when you have a very complex diagram with 50, 100 symbols on there and items with 10, 20, 30 links, the power and the benefits of these capabilities becomes really obvious, because obviously you get 50 or so links automatically tidied up. Okay, so that wraps up the diagramming productivity enhancements. And the response we've had from customers so far has been really, really positive. We showed a lot of this during the THINGWORX week and the SSE symposium events that we had. We also had user experience lab sessions as part of THINGWORX. And yeah, excellent feedback from our customers. We expected that, because they're the things that have been requested from many customers over many years. So it's fantastic to be able to deliver. And one of the immediate benefits of that is customers showing, well, the users particularly showing a much stronger desire to get onto the latest version of the product. So pushing forward with migration plans to make sure they get the new features, which is exactly the sort of response we wanted. Okay, so the final of the three areas that we have available as new features in 9.3 is THINGWORX design and generation. So this is some new capability that enhances existing integrations that we have with THINGWORX. A few releases ago, I think it was actually Modeler 8.3, we released an integration with THINGWORX that allowed you to create code for connected products that had THINGWORX connectivity embedded within it. So we essentially provided a modeling layer for code that's going to go onto embedded devices and be connected through THINGWORX. This new enhancement is complementary to that capability, and this allows you to model the THINGWORX thing model. So essentially the different entities that you would need to track and manage as part of an IoT deployment environment. So this could be quite broad for a number of different IoT use cases, but essentially within Modeler we can apply stereotypes that will then be used within THINGWORX. So what we do is once we have the IoT environment modeled within Modeler, we generate code. So for those that aren't aware, Modeler has a very powerful code generation capability, and this will generate THINGWORX entities. So it'll create the thing templates, the things themselves within THINGWORX. So you can model all of the different entities, whether it's connected products or a connected factory, whatever kind of use case, you can model it within Modeler and then auto-generate the THINGWORX entities. And as you can see as well, you can define the services and the properties that those entities are going to use. So this gives you a very powerful capability of sort of defining the logic within the THINGWORX services and entities. And it's also a reverser. So if you make changes to the thing model within THINGWORX, you can bring those changes back into the modeler model. So this is a really powerful capability. It's essentially adding a modeling layer on top of IoT deployments and environments. We don't have a demo of this at the moment, but we will be having one very soon. This is something that's got a lot of potential, so we want to make sure that we have a nice, good, solid demo for this. If anybody's interested in more information, feel free to get in touch, and I can provide some more. Okay, so in summary, we have some great new enhancements for digital thread, completing further phases of our OSLC integrations. Some long requested productivity enhancements around diagramming. So being able to create items using pickups on symbol borders, auto layout, simple hot alignment, the intelligent link routing and rerouting. And another topic that we didn't cover in detail, focused population. We've made some enhancements to how we populate items on diagrams as well. And then finally, THINGWORX design and generation, where we provide that modeling layer on top of THINGWORX environments. Okay, I was going to just as well talk briefly about the roadmap, just to make sure everyone's kind of up to date with where we are. So our strategic objectives remain the same as we've had for a few years now. Repository improvements, obviously focusing on scalability and performance at all times. We're continually trying to improve those areas. Improve the user interface, improve the user experience. Of course, maintain our support for industry standards. And we're actively engaged in SysML2 working groups at the moment. That's a forthcoming new standard. We've invested a lot of effort into our integrations, as we've just seen, for digital thread using OSLC standards between our products. We've also invested quite a lot of time and effort in simulation. So in previous releases, we've made available the integration with Phoenix Model Center. So this allows co-simulation with the Model Center platform and various other third-party simulation tools that it can connect to. and innovation along different lines as well. System product lines, variability management, modular systems of systems, and model-driven IoT, as we just saw. Here's a summary of the roadmap. I can provide more detail on each of these slides. If anybody needs it, just let me know. But I thought I'd just provide the summary. Actually, I've got a couple more. We will look at a few. I was deliberating before the presentation how much content to provide. So we've just released Modeler 9.3. It says June there. We were a couple of weeks late. So it was Monday, start of this week, that we released Windchill Modeler 9.3, which is fantastic. Modeler 9.4 planned for December. That'll probably be sort of around the middle, the start of December. And we're having more diagramming enhancements, more integrations, and also some work on Reviewer. So we can take a look at some more of the details there, I think. So Modeler 9.4. On the diagramming front, we want to provide diagram filtering capabilities. So this should be something very powerful to help users simplify complex diagrams and filter what is displayed. Link bridges are for when links on diagrams cross. To make it easier to distinguish those cases, we're going to provide bridges that show lines going over each other. We have some OSLC usability. We want to simplify the authentication process and also enable single sign-on across the different products for OSLC. So this is ongoing work and requires all of the different products to complete pieces. But that's what we're planning for the next release. We'd like to display the document structure when we look at Windchill RVNS requirements. This will help users locate information more effectively as it's presented in the same way as it is in RVNS itself. We'd like to try and do reverse lookup from Windchill Modeler to Windchill PDM Link as well. So this requires agreement on schedules, so that might be delayed. We need to confirm on the Windchill PDM Link side. The next thing we're planning is URI link editing for OSLC. So for cases where maybe a customer rehosts a server and all of a sudden it's got a different name, we need to be able to tidy up those OSLC links, make sure the URIs are correct. Excuse me. And we'd also want end users to be able to choose between different versions of OSLC resources. So if the link potentially is pointing to the live item, the latest, at some point during the design lifecycle, you may want to freeze that OSLC link to a specific version. So in that case, you'd update the link and then point it to the latest version probably, and it'd then be static. We're also planning some OSLC capabilities for Doors Next Generation. And this is around supporting configuration management concepts within Doors Next. We're planning some enhancements to Reviewer. This is a big opportunity really for Modeler with our customers, is to improve model review and model simulation. So we're going to try and do as much as we can over the next couple of releases to improve model review capabilities and also model simulation and analysis. So we can see some of the different functional areas that we're looking at. Look and feel, user interface, spell checking improvements, child and parent reviews, better categorization and filtering, and then easier selection of the different packages within models. ASAL is an action language that we provide with Modeler. So we're planning to provide a kind of toolkits that will help customers adapt our action language to their customer-specific action languages. We're also planning some performance improvements, OSLC server optimization, and then also the desktop client in high latency environments. This is one of the areas where our customers have challenges, so it's likely to be a multi-year project, but this is sort of the initial phase of the longer-term goal of improving performance in these high latency environments. Pushing forward to Modeler 9.5, which is June of next year, this is when we will see the first phase of SysML 2.0. So SysML 2.0 is going to be a lot broader than SysML 1.x. So we'll deploy it, implement in multiple phases. We're planning some enhancements for our Windchill integration. And this is really our exporter tool, not our OSLC capability. We're planning to support OSLC change management. And this is aligned with the other products because obviously Windchill has a very well-developed change management process and capability. Similarly, RVNS. And together we're all working towards supporting an enterprise change capability. So really that could be a change process that's initiated in Windchill and controlled and managed in Windchill, but has links to all of the affected data in Modeler and RVNS. So having a change process that's able to include information from all of our core engineering products will be really powerful. We're also planning some web interface improvements, the visual style, feedback commenting, table-based property editing as well, and then OSLC link creation in the web client. So this last one would give us the possibility of allowing non-core modeler users to create OSLC links. They can just do it through the web interface. And at the end of the list, we have some rich and plain text editing improvements. This is, again, another set of customer requests in this area. Improvements to formatting, bullets, tables, and how we handle complex values. Another set of customer requests in the area of variability. So we're planning to update the user interface, make it more PTC branded and use the PTC themes. We're planning to align with new RVNS capabilities, cross-cutting perspective. And this is driving towards the larger goal of global configuration management. So what we want to do is use the variability engine in Modeler to create a filtered or a product model in Modeler with all of the variant choices made and the product filtered and pruned, and then use that filtered model to drive a selection of RVNS requirements. So we can basically baseline a model and say, okay, what are all the requirements that are being implemented by this model? And then let's collect all of those in one of these cross-cutting perspectives. So obviously this gives us kind of a global configuration kind of concepts. We can use our OSLC links that are in place to make the selection of the requirements. And this is something that quite a few customers have asked for, and obviously on the RVNS side, a lot of customers are after variability. So the strategic direction is to use Modeler to be the variability engine, but then to drive the collection of requirements based on the Modeler product model. We plan to improve our support for Boolean logic, creating multiple models from the same base model version to make it a bit easier to manage multiple product models. And then control of undecided variants, so give the user more explicit control there. For Model Explorer, we're planning folder structures. So we'd like to introduce a new layer within Model Explorer to give us a better way to manage and organize our models. And potentially as well, we'll do a user experience or a UI refresh as well for Model Explorer. Okay, pushing a bit further out, so the plans are not quite as firmly established here, but we're planning more SysML 2, second phase. text at search and replace. We definitely need to make some improvements in this area. More capabilities for our Windchill PDM link export capability. A writable REST service. This is intended to support THINGWORX flow, and then increase the animation capabilities that we have for state transitions and activity diagrams. Okay, so there's the summary of the roadmap with 9.4 that we're starting to confirm the scope over the next few weeks, 9.5 and 9.6.